Welcome back, baseball fans. Today's video is eliminating the Dodgers, um, which means that there will not be a repeat of either World Series team of last year. And the Dodgers have been in the last two World Series in Strat-O-Matic. And because of that, I decided to bring up both, well, this year and last year's stats for you. So this is how this year, 2020, ended. 25-20. The biggest problem, they could not get past the Giants in their own division, and they could not get past the Cincinnati Reds. And I wouldn't be crying about that. Those are two outstanding Strat-O-Matic teams. Historically, and the way I assembled it, but also just the way Strat-O-Matic printed those cards out based on the stats. It's just ridiculous players on both of those teams. Dodgers just didn't have anybody that particularly scary on this roster that you could look at and go, wow, this is the best strat card I've ever seen. Nothing quite like that here. So here's your stats for the 25-20 Dodgers. Let me start with team batting average is 288, and that's fantastic. I mean, that's right. That's beyond where you need it. Even if you don't have sluggers, you should be able to manufacture runs. You scored 223 runs, but you gave up 191. That's not a good net run, and that explains probably their failures. I look at the two All-Stars were Wes Parker and Willie Davis, and Davis was new to the team this year. And last year they had Brett Butler's 83 card was still playing center field for the Dodgers, and so the new addition Willie Davis will see this card for 4 years in a 4-year carryover league. And what I really like is the 13 doubles, 8 triples, 5 homers, 7 stolen bases. The only thing I don't like is the on base percentage is not that much higher than the batting average, which means I don't really want him in the 1 or 2 spot. Maybe I should just leave him in a 3 spot for this era. The other column, team home runs, 23, or 3 more than Johnny Bench at this point. Bench has 20 already, and the Dodgers have 23 as a team. And the leading guy, like I said in the video of the Reds-Dodgers series, is Jim Pagliarone with his 7 bombs. And with, I don't want to belabor that. Now I'm going to kind of switch to last year's stats. And if you look at last year's stats, you see that the batting average is 259, and you're like, oh, this should be a struggle. But the team ERA is 3.28. The net runs is really similar. 246 runs, 224 allowed. That's just, you win the close games. You got past the Giants in your own division. You got past the New York Mets in the National League Championship Series. And you closed out games with this team well with Mickelson and Brewer. Look at that. They got 17 combined saves. Either guy, lefty-righty. Great whip, great ERA. Bill Singer, 5 complete games, an 11-4 record. The Kirk Gibson, 284, 9 homers, 35 RBIs, 55 home runs by this Dodger team. Gibson really struggled in the season I just played. And so, will the Dodgers be back? Probably. They'll probably be back. In the National League West, the Reds aren't in that division in my realignment. So without having to face the Reds, let's take a look now at the Dodgers. Without having to face the Reds in the National League West, that should really help this team get to where they want to be. So let's take a look and see who's coming and going here. Mike Scioscia. He'll be done. I think the Angels are looking for a manager. Let's see here. Bill Russell. He'll believe, as will Baker, but we'll have more on them in a little bit. Wes Parker, Willie Davis, the 2 All-Stars. Really like this Grabarkowitz card. He's a 2E11, has not played second base yet for this team. because they have Sizemore, and eventually they're going to get Lopes. Grabarkowitz is too. Man, it's going to be really hard to get this guy off this team to create the space for Ron Say and Davy Lopes when it's their time. So maybe 1970, he only plays for them through the 72 season and they trade him or something. Here's that Pagliarone guy again. Buckner, Kirk Gibson will leave. Sizemore, Maury Wills. Shane Raleigh was just a waiver pickup. Actually, it was a good card. 10-6, 381. Did that for the Phillies. And Osteen had two disappointing seasons. Singer was good. Oh, we'll miss this guy, though, won't we? I think Earl Hershiser's the best color commentary in baseball, or at least I felt that way when I first heard him back in 2012. I haven't listened to much modern baseball lately, so I don't know if that's still the case, but back in 2012 he certainly was. Okay, so these are your Dodgers. And we got plenty of questions here. Is Bird Hooton around in 72? Yep. Hershiser? No. Raleigh? No. Bill Buckner? Yep. Kirk Gibson? No. Baker? Yep. Russell? Uh-huh. Sosha? Again, no. But we've been doing a lot of these eliminations. They have four guys. Now, not only do they have these four guys who can come back if needed in the past, but they want to trade for Don Sutton, who's currently the product of the Milwaukee Brewers. So in a moving of parts here, I'm envisioning that Dusty Baker gets sent to the Atlanta Braves. Russell, the Dodgers will most likely keep, depending on his defense. He started his career in the outfield in that era. Now Buckner would be left playing in the outfield in this era. Hooton was a Cub. So we could see that the Dodgers may end up making trades and moving these guys as assets throughout the rest of the National League and the rest of baseball. So the Dodgers will have a very interesting and active offseason moving these guys. And we'll try and look at Baker, Russell, Buckner, and Hooton in Baseball Reference when we get there. So let's see what we have moving forward for the Dodgers. We have 7 and 5. 7 hitters and 5 pitchers. Okay, immediately, first thing I see is a guy who should probably be moved. Bob Taylor, Wes Parker, Davis, Grabarkowitz, and Pagliarone. I would definitely, as they say, sell high on the season this guy had and just get these two guys off the team and create some roster spots, and be happy that you got incredible use out of this guy particularly. But basically, these aren't really going to be building blocks of the Dodgers moving forward. This guy will be until we get Garvey. Wes Parker, until he'll be their first baseman until they turn it over to Garvey. They might even let Garvey play third as Parker's career dwindles down. Sizemore, here's another interesting guy to consider moving. He was the Rookie of the Year in, I believe it was 69 he was the Rookie of the Year, but this is a 70 card, and eventually the Dodgers move him as well. Sizemore ends up in the Cardinals. Here's Willie Davis. Grabarkowitz is in the infield, along with Maury Wills, a shortstop. So we have enough infielders here. We only have one outfielder. We'll lose Kirk Gibson. We're going to lose Dusty Baker. So it really is up to the Dodgers to get that power we said they've been missing in the corner spots if it's available, and move a lot of these guys who don't have a long career in LA because they have all those assets from the 1984 card section. Here's your pitchers. We'll start at the top. Singer and Osteen aren't going anywhere. And at the back, front and back, that's what you want. You got two guys at the front, one's left-handed. You got two guys in the back, one's left-handed. That's how you want to start your team if you can. Long reliever, Muller. So really not much to do with the pitching. And Don Sutton's going to come on in. When Sutton comes in, I think we do something like this. We go Sutton 1, Maybe I'll leave Singer. Yeah, I could leave Singer in the 2 hole. Have Osteen move to 3. But Don Sutton's best card is what they should get once they trade for it. So pitching will be easy, but let's get some outfielders for the Dodgers if we can. Okay, here are your Dodgers. They don't win 90 games in any of these years, which is, again, kind of a lean time for them. But they do have assets left over from the 84 that they could move around, trade possibly, and get them back to where we know they get by 1974, which is the World Series. So if they want to return sooner than later, they may need to move some assets around. So let's first take a look here in 72. There's Osteen, we already have him. Sutton, we really want to get this guy, and we probably will in a trade. They may have to give up a lot to get him. There's Willie Davis, we have him. Brewer, we have him. Manny Mota is on the Florida Marlins, and they're not going to give him up. There's Buckner. Well, we have him already. We can just simply renew his card if we want. Same with Bill Russell. We have him. We'll look at their reference pages separately and determine which is the best year for these guys. How about that? The only year, a lot of people don't remember it, it was a single year that Frank played for the Dodgers. Of course, the Orioles aren't going to get rid of him. Tommy John, he's still with the White Sox. Al Downing's on the Ohio players. And there's Garvey and Lacey, who have been in the league. I guess let's start with the pitching and see if there's anything we've missed. I don't see it. The same guys will be added to the team that we are expecting to add. We were talking about adding some outfield power, and no, it's not going to be Mota or Frank Robinson, so they're going to have to keep looking. Obviously, putting Buckner in the outfield makes a lot of sense. Willie Crawford is also a possibility. Let's go back now to 71. Dick Allen for the 71 Dodgers played third base. He had a 295 batting average, 395, 468, 863. But the Phillies aren't going to give him up either. Willie Davis, Sutton, Al Downing, Brewer, Parker, Maury Wills. There's Willie Crawford again. So it looks like it could be Crawford and Buckner in those corner spots in the outfield we were looking at. Duke Sims is with Cleveland. And again, Garvey, be careful. I don't want to bring a lousy Steve Garvey into the league. I'd rather wait for him to be the outstanding all-star Steve Garvey that we know, and not an overmatched rookie card or something like that. Brewer, Mickelson are already here. There's Joe Mueller. We have him. Let's just keep going. 70 Dodgers. There's Grabarkowitz. Great card. Really like the card and the versatility. That card will be used all 4 years. It's a question of, do the Dodgers keep him all 4 years, or do they decide to move him for an emerging Ron Sager, Davey Lopes? Parker, again, they're going to keep him until his card runs out. There's Davis, Mota. Tom Haller, we'll take a look at this guy in a bit. Russell Osteen, Maury Wills, Singer. Bill Sadakis is elsewhere. I think he's on St. Louis in the league. So it is Tom Haller. And Haller, where is he at? A catcher. Well, there you go. That makes a whole lot of sense, doesn't it? I mean, wouldn't Haller basically be the replacement for Mike Scioscia in this case? So that makes sense. I can see that happening. 1969. You have Osteen, Singer, Davis, Sizemore, Maury Wills. Yep, the same cast. Jim LaFay is on the White Sox in my league. Mota, Haller again. So your choices of Tom Haller cards to sit behind the plate. And there's Crawford again and Sadakis. All right, so we know we're bringing Sutton on. Let's take a look at the 4 other guys in no particular order. we're going to start with Bill Russell. And we're going to determine where do you go for Bill Russell. So in 69, he hit 226, and he mostly played outfield. And of course, his batting average doesn't improve significantly until 72. And that's where he is primarily a shortstop. But you have Maury Wills. Still, it might be a good idea to have Russell and Wills both playing shortstop, possibly as a platoon or just possibly as depth. Unless you want to unload Maury Wills in a trade as an option. So you could make Russell your starting shortstop and trade Maury Wills. Maury Wills actually moved around a little bit. He actually was on the... Maury Wills played for the Expos in their inaugural season, at least for half of it. We'll check it up right here real quick. So yeah, Maury Wills, let's take a look at this. See, in 69, you know, he left the Dodgers to go to Pittsburgh, and in 69, he was part of the inaugural Mets for 47 games before he returned to LA. So we can change history a little bit and just, you know, have him leave LA and find a new home. There's plenty of teams looking for shortstops, so I would say let's move on to Bill Russell and get rid of Maury Wills and find him a new home. All right, the next player, Dusty Baker. Now this makes a lot of sense. 72 Atlanta, 888 OPS and number 22 MVP votes. So now Atlanta's saying, hey, we want Dusty Baker, and the Dodgers say, well, what are you going to give me for him? So that'll be a trade. They're going to get some assets away from the Braves and send Dusty Baker to Atlanta in a deal. So let's move on. And we have Bill Buckner. Now, it turns out that it is indeed 1972 is his best year to this point. It's 319. Doesn't really slug or... Look at that, 17 walks and 13 strikeouts and 405 plate appearances. This guy is the definition of a contact hitter. Can't get a ball past him. At least when he's in the batter's box. Anyway, so that is Buckner. Glad to see him continue with the Dodgers. And Bert Hooton. Now, the other team involved is the Cubs. And if you look at Hooton, it is 72. Outstanding card. 218 innings and a 2.80 ERA for the Cubs. So now we're talking about the Cubs. The Dodgers are going to be wheeling and dealing. It's really going to be interesting to see what they look like next year. They're going to be calling Milwaukee about Sutton. They're going to be calling the Cubs regarding Hooton. They're going to be calling the Braves about Baker. You know. So it's going to be a really cool, interesting season for the Dodgers. And I'm looking forward to all the wheeling and dealing that they're going to be making to get back to the World Series. Well, that's it. Thank you for checking out these videos. We'll see you again soon.